say it, Kriti, that Prime Minister, as you were saying, got a rousing reception as he reached Washington D.C. this evening. He's scheduled to meet the U.S. President Donald Trump tomorrow in the evening. That's Washington time at the White House. But before that, he was the first leader who's already had a great meeting. Sources telling me with Tulsi Gabbard, who's Donald Trump's key intelligence interlocutor. She's the director of national intelligence here in the U.S., just been sworn in, and she had a meeting with the Prime Minister. That tells you the story of U.S. India partnership and how important is this visit for the Donald Trump administration as well. On tariffs, I can tell you that in this time around, U.S. President Donald Trump is going with a whole motive of dollar for dollar diplomacy. He expects his key friends and allies, and that includes India, to reciprocate when it comes to tariff and other things in the relationship. And he's going to be very honest with the Prime Minister when he speaks with him tomorrow, because he considers him as a close friend. Having said that, India has already met some of the key concerns that the US had in terms of, if you know, that India has already reduced duties on Harley-Davidson motorcycles, which was one of the important issue that US had raised on tariffs. Also, duties on automobiles coming from the US. So certainly there are, as they say in any negotiation, there are certain negotiating points, and I'm very confident. And I'm from my sources here in the White House and also other diplomatic sources, they're telling me that they will find a way, because India realizes that under Donald Trump's presidency, US is going to emerge as, not only a preeminent global power, it will also be, an important ally for India. When it comes to China, for instance, India knows that US will be an ally India can rely on in taking on, China's onslaught, whether economically, militarily, or strategically. So all those dimensions, it's very, very pivotal for India that, US-India ties, are reinvented, so to say. And Prime Minister is one of the few world leaders who were invited by US President Donald Trump early on in his second terms. That also gets a signal. The fact that he's doing a dinner for the Prime Minister tomorrow, that's also a first, I should tell you. So these are things which are indications that US-India ties under Donald Trump 2.0 and Prime Minister Narendra Modi's leadership are all set to boom. And this meeting tomorrow will only herald into a new dawn for a partnership between our two great democracies.
Right. Mr. Saurabh Shukla, now Prime Minister is in the US, and this is just when Donald Trump has spoken to both Putin and Zelensky, and they've paved the way for negotiations as far as the Ukraine war is concerned. We know that the Prime Minister has already mediated in war-peace negotiations. Do you think that we can see them joining forces as far as bringing the war to an end is concerned?
Absolutely. If you remember, Prime Minister Narendra Modi had said at the UN that this is not the time for war. He had told, Russian President Vladimir Putin was one of the first leaders to tell him that. And that is the focus. US President Donald Trump is embarking on something what he calls a common sense diplomacy. He wants this war to end. He wants peace between Ukraine and Russia. And if you see the gist of the conversation he's had with Vladimir Putin, President Putin of Russia has already released one, U.S. hostage as a signal for goodwill. And I believe that is where India can play a role as well as a great friend of the U.S. and also making Vladimir Putin see reason in what President Trump is trying to do. So I feel here as well, India can play a key role of being a peacemaker along with the US to end Russia-Ukraine war. And that will also come up for discussions when the two leaders meet here in White House tomorrow in Washington, D.C. Kriti?
Right. Saurabh, I also want to ask you about the immigration concerns. We saw those visuals of 104 deportees that landed in Amritsar with handcuffs and their feet were chained. Now, there are several more on the line to be deported. They have the sword of deportation and even jail term hanging on their heads. Do you think the Prime Minister will be able to bring them some respite, given that they have already sought the Prime Minister's intervention?
Let me say it. India has made it very clear that it's a responsible country. It will not encourage any illegal immigration in any third country. Like India will not like any illegal immigrants to be on its soil, and India will also support that. And that's an assurance that they've given at the highest level when External Affairs Minister Jaishankar was here. So India in the next few days will also take back some of the other illegal immigrants who have come from India to the US illegally, and they have made a distinction. What India's message and Prime Minister's message is going to be that to US President Donald Trump, that make sure that India's skilled immigrants, people who are here legally, who are contributing to the US economy, who are contributing to a partnership between US and India, they don't have visa delays, they don't have green card backlogs, which is a problem because these Indian Americans not only create a bridge between the two countries, they also send large amount of remittances to India. They grow India's economy as well and also grow the partnership. So there is a distinction which will be made between skilled immigrants who have entered US legally and illegal immigrants, while India will continue to tell the US that they should deal with them humanly, but anybody who's entered US illegally, India has agreed that after verification, they will take those people back and will also take strict action against cartels who are fueling this kind of illegal immigration. Preeti.
All right, let's also talk about put some restrictions on skilled manpower, and this directly affects our IT industry back home. Will PM be able to bring some relaxation as far as visas and green cards are concerned for the Indians?
Well, that's an issue India has been raising, and he's going to, if you recall, at the Artificial Intelligence Summit as well, the US Vice President J.D. Vance had indicated that they want skilled professionals to come to the US, and certainly during his conversations, he will talk about the fact because if Indian investments, for instance, a lot of Indian companies, if they have to invest in the US, there will be back and forth flow of professionals because a lot of professionals from India are highly skilled. So certainly there are a lot of Indian students who are studying in the US universities. Why should, can they get access to a proper visa when they graduate from the US universities? All these are matters of discussion, which certainly India, as the Prime Minister has been saying, and he has been championing the cause for Indians when he meets with world leaders. And my sense is and expectation is as well that this issue will come up because Indians face a discrimination of sorts because of huge backlog when it comes to green card, because of a certain thing called a 7% country cap, which obviously, and the president of the US can certainly recapture a lot of backlog, green cards which have been wasted, and Prime Minister's nudge here can make a big difference to the lives of these Indian Americans here.
All right, let's